Welcome to this quick micro demo. Today I'll show you how you can import your budgets via an import template. So to begin, let me start by showing you where you can actually access these import templates, which is essentially via company, setup, import data. And then if we scroll down to our budgets row, you'll see that we have this hyperlink for our template here. So once I click this, I will have budgets spreadsheet load up and I'll be taken to Excel. So what you notice along the top here is I have essentially row one is headers for each column. And these just translate to the corresponding fields that you would be populating if you were creating your budgets manually in the system. And then on the row below that, we have a kind of describing box or like a legend. And this is just going to give us all the information that we need to populate the column itself. So you can see I have stuff like maximum number of characters, which type of characters are acceptable. So alphanumeric and underscore for budget ID, for example. And then you also have details on whether there are any kind of dependencies. So which, for most of them are just telling us that it must match one that already exists in the system, which is pretty standard. And then finally, we have whether or not this is a mandatory or required field and whether this field will be editable at a later date. So once you're familiar with what information is required for each column, we can start to work our way along the spreadsheet. So again, these columns just mirror exactly what you would essentially be filling out in the system if you were to create your budgets manually. So, you have very standard stuff like your account number. So if you want to, tag in a specific GL account, all of your dimension IDs as well. So if you want to tag specific locations, departments, and that sort of thing. And then right at the end, you'll start to actually input your budget values. So all you need to really make sure here is that you're matching that to the name of the reporting budget and you're good to go. And then if we pull up Intacct on another screen, this is how you might do it if you were actually populating this in real time. If I go back to my budget repository list, you got to be careful with a lot of these because they have to match exactly as they exist in the system. So you might just want to copy and paste any of your budget IDs and paste them into here. And essentially once you're done uploading all the information onto your budget import template, you can then go ahead and actually import the file itself. So two things to note here. First thing, you want to make sure that it's in a CSV format because CSV is the only format which is currently acceptable on Intacct. So obviously that comes with a couple of caveats. Any cells that have leading zeros are reformatted so that they can be uploaded smoothly. And then you just want to make sure that the date format also matches that of the CSV or the system or vice versa. So as long as those two things are compatible, you can then go ahead and import any files. You can do multiple at a time if you'd like. And then once you're done, essentially you would get this screen pop up and ordinarily you'd have X number of successful imports or X number of unsuccessful imports. And the details of those would then just be disclosed in emails that you would get in a follow-up. So you can see this is what an example of like an unsuccessful import would look like. I have 31 errors, and then I'd have a reason of why there was an error and how I can kind of rectify that on a following template. So I hope that was useful, and thank you for watching. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to one of us on the PKF team.